This week we are talking about help me how to pronounce this.
I'm going to just do the thing where I'm trying to train myself to do more often. Ask ChatGPT how I pronounce this.
Oh, nice.
It's pronounced Allais Paradox.
Oh, so the S isn't even pronounced?
Well, according to ChatGPT, so...
Okay, the Allais Paradox. That makes much more sense in light of what the second post is.
Yay.
Because Zut Allais sounds much closer to Zut Allais than something where you pronounce the S.
What's Zut Allais?
You are not familiar with Zut Allais?
No, I'm under whatever rock missed that.
It is an expression of surprise in French. Now I want to know what Zut Allais means literally. Hold on a sec.
All right.
Zut Allais means damn them.
Oh, that's fun.
More commonly interpreted as shucks.
Shucks.
Yeah. It can be used to mean then or in that case as well. Interesting. Okay.
All right. Well, so these posts, if I had difficulty identifying with the rationalist label because I don't know what that means, and found a lot of sympathy with the Tyson approach of forget you and your stickers and handles, maybe that'll all become clear that I haven't earned my rationalist sticker because I feel dumb as shit reading these. But I'm happy to own that and just be corrected.
Well, let's start out with the Allais Paradox. Stephen, I'm going to give you two options. You tell me which one is more appealing.
Sounds great.
Option 1A, you get $24,000, period. Just get $24,000. Or option 1B, you have a 33 out of 34 chance of getting $27,000 and a 1 in 34 chance of getting nothing. Which do you choose in real life?
24,000.
Me too.
Which I know is the wrong answer.
Do you think that's the wrong answer?
Oh, wait. It's only the wrong answer if I'd also choose 2B, right?
So we'll have to get there. Ourselves. Let's not, let's not get there.
Well,
quite yet.
This post was written in 2008, back when I don't think Itkowski was ever really of the variety of like the Homo economicus kind of thing, but I still feel like that's where a lot of like economics discourse was. That said, I wasn't reading it that much back then, so maybe I'm just totally misrepresenting the times. But what do you call people-centered economics, social economics? Before that actually took off, a lot of it was just like, well, look at this moron who would rather have $5 now than $5.50 in a week. That's because $5 now is valuable, and who wants to wait a week for 2 quarters?
So I'm assuming the reason you chose 24 is rather than 27 is because you don't have to worry about maybe not getting it?
Exactly.
Yeah, I also actually chose 24,000 because when I was thinking about it, between the two options, it seems like either one is basically I'm getting $25,000 more or less, and I'd rather just for sure get that rather than maybe not get it, but get a little more money.
Yeah, that's the thing, is it's like a 3% difference. That 300 chance isn't worth it for the marginal gain of $3,000 on top of the 24 I'm guaranteed to get.
Yeah.
There is some number that could be, that's $270,000, 100%.
Right.
But the marginal difference of that $3,000 is not worth a 3% chance of me getting nothing.
Yeah. So we are both agreed. We would like for our lives to be $25,000 richer, and we're willing to give up some money for a guarantee of that. A second scenario, 2A, you have a 34% chance of winning $24,000 and a 66% chance of winning nothing. Or you have a 33% chance of winning $27,000, so 1% less chance, and a 67% chance of winning nothing. Which one would you choose in this case?
2B.
Okay, why would you choose 2B?
Because they're both about the same. My mind rounds those to a third, and one's $3,000 more.
Here's the interesting thing. I am with you. Like, when I just read these, I'm like, yeah, they're basically a third chance either way. I'd rather have the extra $3,000. Eliezer goes on to say that most people prefer what we did, 1A over 1B, but then 2B over 2A for the same reason. However, what I found really interesting is that when I was just reading it for the first time, I was like, yeah, sure, do that. But then I was like, okay, hold on. There's obviously some kind of trick here. What is actually happening? So I sat down and I looked at the two numbers, and I came to my reasoning that I came to originally, that either way, I'm basically $25,000 richer. So if I'm basically $25,000 richer either way, I'd rather have that extra 1% chance of being $25,000 richer. I think I'm going to go for the less money for a slightly more chance to get that $25,000. So upon sitting and thinking about it for a little bit, I changed my answer.
I like it. I didn't spend the time to sit and think about it. This might be the wrong way to do it, especially like the experiments that are described. But if you say, it's basically $25,000, they'll be like, well, hold on a second. No, it's not. One's 24,000, one's 27,000. And so for you to round them is like me rounding the probabilities. And
that's true.
It's I wonder if like we each lose a base point, or do we just
I think it's more a matter of being consistent, because in both 1 and 2, I basically rounded them to being $25,000. And if you do in the first case where you round them to both basically $25,000, but in the second case, you round the probability to being basically 1/3, and suddenly the number of dollars is the answer that you don't round and that you pay attention to, then I think you're being inconsistent. And I think just knowing which one you actually prefer, like if the money amount mattered to me, then I would be happy to round the chances in 1 to both be basically 100% as well and look at the number instead. So I think either answer is fine as long as you're consistent between them. And that's more a matter of knowing yourself and what you actually prefer rather than, which one is quote unquote better.
Yeah, that's fair. Again, I think the difference between 33 and 34% is so small.
It's literally the exact same differences between 99 and 100%.
Which is to say, virtually no difference in real life. Then I'm just thinking, well, I might as well have more money then.
Exactly.
So I get it's not a well thought out calculation, but that's my thought.
So in that case, you're switching to 1B for the first answer, where you have a 99% chance of more money?
Oh, shoot. Oh, that's 97. 33 out of 34 is 97%, not 99.
Oh.
And 3% feels like a number, whereas 1% doesn't. I don't know. So this is the thing, and this is what he points out in the following post. But certainty has a value that for me as a feeling human is important over a percentage. It's not doesn't have infinite value, right? Mm-hmm. If it was 2,400 versus 27,000. Again, if you add a 0 or take one off, I'm totally going to change my answer. But these numbers, 24 and 27, are so close that I'm like, whatever.
I do think that's exactly his point, though, that certainty is highly overvalued because 1% actually does make a 1% difference, and you shouldn't value that last 1% any differently than you valued a 1% in the middle.
I get the point. Either we'll belabor these posts long enough for me to get it, or I'll just be able to explain why I'm dumb. The benefit to my life of getting $24,000 and $27,000 is approximately the same. Mm-hmm. I'd rather just be sure.
Well, then wouldn't you rather have the 34% chance rather than 33% chance of having that benefit to your life?
Yeah, I suppose you're right. When you explained your sit down and thought about it reasoning, you convinced me. So you're right. In the second post, he has an example where an experimenter is arguing with somebody and they're doubling down. I will not double down on my initial thought of the 2B, 33%.
Okay.
So fair enough.
Yay, I have won.
I like it.
Or something.
No, I mean, you've helped me understand a bit, which is valuable. I think, I think you've helped me understand. Okay, well, let's say he gives like the more convoluted of the example of 12 p.m. I roll a 100-sided die. If it shows a number greater than 34, the game ends, which is the 34%, on 2A. Otherwise, at 12:05, I consult a switch with two settings, A and B. If the setting is A, I pay you $24,000. If the setting is B, I roll a 34-sided die and pay you $27,000 if it doesn't show 34. He says, let's say you prefer 1A over 1B and 2B over 2A, and you would pay me a single penny to indulge each preference. The switch starts in state A. Before 12 p.m., you pay me a penny to throw the switch to B. The die comes up 12. After 12 and before 12:05, you pay me a penny to switch it to A. So if you didn't follow that, the point is he used pennies because then he gets to say, I've taken you 2 cents on the subject. And I liked that. But I think I might just be an idiot. But I think I also misunderstood what he was getting at because I was saying I'd happily pay 2 pennies for 100% chance of $24,000.
I don't think that's what he was getting at, that he could do the double booking thing to keep taking all of your money.
Wouldn't you just get up and walk away? And how many times would we have to play this game? And he's remember, he's throwing the switch every 5 minutes. So 5 minutes, there's 100 pennies and $1, $24,000. We're going to be there for the rest of our lives.
How many times are you willing to do this? Kind of comes up in the next post where the gambler tells the researcher, yeah, if we keep going with this, I'm going to feel insulted. And I guess the implication back then was that if you insult a dude, he might punch you or something.
My last comment on this post was just to myself saying, get triggered, rationalists. I'm a complete fucking idiot.
Awesome. Presumably that getting insulted thing is there specifically so humans can short circuit these sorts of terrible loops that they could otherwise be exploited by, and maybe just don't get exploited by it in the first place is the idea.
Are these kinds of loops the kinds that I'm likely to encounter in the same carnival fair where Omega shows me a Newcomb problem box?
Honestly, I think carnival fairs is the most likely place you would encounter these sorts of things because they're famous for trying to scam people out of their money.
I guess I'm thinking is this the kind of thing I'm ever likely to encounter in real life the same way I'm likely to encounter a Newcomb problem? And I know that thoughtful, smart listeners wrote in with examples of real life Nukem problems, but they didn't register for me. With that caveat, I mean, is this a thing that can happen in real life?
Probably don't go to carnivals, or if you do, don't go to the tents where they take your money.
I'll go to the one
And I
where
mean,
they have a box
obviously-
with $24,000 in it for me to take, you know?
Right. Obviously, don't go to casinos ever because this is literally what casinos are.
Yeah, the casinos, you've got to put in the factor of like, you're also paying to have fun. And if you have fun gambling, then, you know.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Exactly. Some people hate that shit, and I totally get it.
Anyways, onward to the next post, yes?
Yeah, apparently wasn't the only idiot who read the first one, because the post opens with, I was not expecting that response.
Yeah. A lot of people did not agree with his reasoning in the first one, apparently, yeah.
I'm looking forward to talking about the, what was the actual book Plane Crash called?
It has multiple things it is known as. I think Plane Crash is the one it's most known as.
Very well.
But the website that it's hosted on is Project Lawful, so maybe that.
Fair enough. I get this is the problem with not having a book cover. The second line of this post was, people put a very high value on small shifts in probability away from 0 or 1, the certainty effect. And I'm looking forward to reading a story where the average person finds that confusing. Right?
Cool. Yeah.
Because they're right. The baseline Yudkowsky is right. 99% should be the same to you as 100, basically, right? And to just put so much emphasis on the 100 is weird. And yet, me being a baseline human, I'm like, no, man, certainty of money is tight. Like,
for people who have no idea what Stephen and me are talking about right now, in the other podcast feed that I do, which used to be Harry Potter and the Methods of Rationality, we are about to be reading Plane Crash, which is the latest fic that Eliezer is writing together with Kelsey Piper. And we're going to be reading several chapters every week and talking about them. So yeah, that's on the other podcast I do, or the other podcast. There's multiple other podcasts that I do now.
This is the other podcast that we do.
Yes, there we go.
Yeah, I was deliberately trying to plug it and then forgot to actually finish plugging.
Zut Allais. We are going to ask you for a price at which you'd be indifferent to having that amount of money or having a chance to play a gamble. So there's a game before you that has a 1/3 chance to win $18 and a 2/3 chance to lose $1.50. What amount of money would you be indifferent of getting rather than getting a chance to play this game?
In real life, if this was a carnival, if it was like cash, I just wouldn't play. Money's gross. Okay. But let's pretend it was, you're
going to get Venmo'd.
Yeah, Venmo'd. So I have a 1/3 chance to win $18 and a 2/3 chance to lose $1.50. How much would someone have to pay me to not play the game?
Yeah.
I'd take a free $10. Let's just stick with that as a baseline. That's not my I'll die on the sale answer, but we'll run with that.
Okay.
Which is, I know, wrong. So let's push through.
Okay. There's a second game. You have a 19 out of 20 chance to win $4 and a 1 out of 20 chance to lose $0.25. How much would you take to not play that game?
$5. No, I'm kidding. This one, it seems like my odds of losing are so much lower. Well, because they are, but how much I'm losing is supposed to be about the same on average, right?
No. How much you're losing is, I don't think, the same at all. These are just very different games.
You're right. So, okay, let's see. I would skip the game for $3.50.
You have put a much higher number on the first game than the second one because you were $10 for the first one and $3.50 for the second one.
Yeah, because the first one offers me more money. Like, so I'm going to come at this from I make a comment down the post about Homo economicus. I get what's Homo mouth breather like. I'm coming at this from the baseline idiot muggle. Which I'm not pretending to be in this case. I basically am. Like,
yeah, okay.
If someone wants to come at me, it's like, if someone wants to come to the next meetup with real piles of money and play these games with me and take my money, they're more than welcome to. And then maybe it'll drill the point home for me.
I will 100% do that if you want to do that.
Deal.
Because I'm interested how many times you will play this game before you stop.
All right. I'll have to bring some cash then myself, huh?
Yes.
All right. So I'll bring cash. We'll pin out like the probabilities and stuff of what game we're playing before we play, and then we'll report back. This will be fun.
So people will, if Eliezer recalls correctly, he didn't go look this up beforehand because I believe he says his books were in boxes as he was moving. Great historical note.
I remember looking at that and I was like, it's kind of funny they didn't go back and put an asterisk saying I double checked these numbers are right or I double checked and they're wrong.
Who has time for that shit?
Yeah, I mean he's in the middle of moving, so
yeah. But people will put a higher price on number 1 than on number 2, which was certainly the case in the experiment we just ran. So first, you sell them a chance to play bet one at their stated price. I just want to confirm you're willing to pay me $10 in order to take that gamble.
No, I thought I was willing to be paid $10 to not take that gamble.
Yes, but in practice, they're the same thing, right?
One of them involves me getting $10, and one involves me paying $10. Maybe that's why this didn't click for me.
I gotcha. Okay.
Like, again, in an iterative game where you play 1,000 times, it might be like the same thing, right?
Yeah.
But I'm picturing this like as you're walking by a table and some hustler's like, hey, you want $10 or do you want a chance to win $18? Like, I'll take your $10, and then you just leave, right?
I guess either way, you're either out $10 or you get to play the gamble. But I see what you're saying. They feel very different when you're giving your own money away to play that gamble, as opposed to being paid to not play it.
Yeah. They feel different, right? Because one of them involves me leaving with more money in my pocket.
Yeah.
Am I missing something, or I'm not trying to deliberately be dense or obfuscating here. I might just actually be dumb.
I actually don't think you're missing anything at all, aside from not thinking like a robot. So.
My squishy meat brain is like, ooh, money.
Right.
And my squishy meat brain doesn't have the same reaction like, ooh, probability of money.
That is an interesting point, because I was thinking about them the same way. How much would you be willing to pay in order to play the first one?
This depends on so many factors. Like, how much money do I have? How much will I miss? $5 or $20? How much do I need? $5 or $20? Am I scrimping to make ends meet, or do I have excess? Like, at some point, the game
have excess. That nobody here is hurting for $20.
How much would I pay for this game? $18 at a third chance, or lose $1.50. I mean, shit. My first number I came up with is $10.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, I think I can't tell if I'm anchored on that or if that's actually where my feelings are. So wait, why would I pay $10? Let's just say 10. Which, yeah. So that makes this the same. If I sound like an idiot, it's not. I think I'm just realizing if you're dumb, you don't know. You don't feel it like you feel stepping on a Lego.
Right.
I think I'm just realizing I'm dumb.
I think you're just realizing you're a gambling man, like most people in the human race.
I'm a gambling man who gambles very little, I guess.
If I was given with a chance to win $18 and it's a 1/3 chance, I would never pay more than $6 for that, because then you're breaking even, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Why would I pay 10? You're right. I don't think the 10 feels like a real answer, because the second I think about it, it's worth noting that I've been distracted by construction noises next door all day, and I'm not sufficiently caffeinated. I need excuses to not sound so stupid. But if I sit down and think about it for 3 seconds, yeah, why would you pay more than $6? But the thing is, they'll never offer you the game at $6. At the casino, this game will always cost $7.
In this case, if you don't win, you actually do have to pay $1.50. So they might offer it for $6, just because when you lose, you actually pay them money.
That's right. So wouldn't your actual number then be whatever, $5.60 or something?
Maybe. I guess that's part of the question. Like, how much are you willing to pay for it?
I mean, do I have to carry around pennies? Like, that is a real life consideration for me. Like, I'm not going to carry a bag of pennies to the bank.
We are, again, Venmoing each other all these monies. You will never have to touch cash in your life.
Let's move forward with the post a bit, unless you feel like we can squeeze more out of this, my incomprehensibility here.
Basically, what he's saying is that if someone would give a higher number for number one than number two, then you give them a chance to play number one as they wanted at their stated price. And then you offer to trade bet number one for bet number two. Since they would like to do that, get the certainty of winning the $4 rather than the chance to win $18, they will make that trade because they like that certainty thing. Then the near certainty thing. And then since they put a lower number on bet two, you can offer to buy that bet back. So, okay, for example, bet number one, let's say you put $6 on it. I say, sure, I will make this bet with you for $6. If you win, you get 18. And you're like, awesome. And then I say, actually, hold on. Do you want to trade it for bet number two? You basically just have a almost 100% chance to get $4. 19 out of 20 chance you're going to get $4. You want to trade it for that. And you say, actually, yeah, sure. I like that certainty of having $4 rather than a chance, only a 1/3 chance for 18. And I say, cool, we swap bets. And then I say, actually, you said you valued the second bet at something like $3.50. You want me to just give you $3.50 and we can call it off because you'd rather have that than the bet? And you say, yeah, sure, let's do that. And I say, cool, here's your $3.50 back. And then you say, hey, I have this bet number one. You wanna buy this bet for $6 and play this risk? And you'd be like, yeah, sure, totally. Here's $6 because this seems like a great risk. And then I say, well, actually, hold on. I have this bet two. Do you want to trade bet one for bet two? You're like, oh yeah, I'd rather have the certainty. And then you just keep doing that to pump money out of them because you're selling them this pair of bets for $6 and then buying it back for $3.50.
Oh, so like you're actually changing like the money's changing hands before they settle on like which bet they're doing. Because it sounded like you just gave me $3.50.
No, it's first you bought the bet, and then before we actually roll the dice, I'm like, actually, do you want to just have this money?
Oh, who would say that?
Apparently, the gamblers that were interviewed in the original.
Well, because they had some other weird
not.
constrained experiment.
It was basically this sort of thing.
Well, but the thing is, like, if I already gave you $6, I'm not leaving without my chance to get $18 or my $6 back. Like, I'm not gonna just take a deal where I lose half my money.
You say that now, but apparently that's not how things actually work.
I'm looking forward to us actually doing this. If you have access to like lots of $1 bills, I might just Venmo you for whatever 20 of them rather than have to go to the bank myself.
Okay,
but I actually want to do this at the meetup.
Cool,
because maybe that'll drive this home, and one of us will come out with more money. The experiment, the thing that caught me with it was that they're playing with points. It's like bet A was 550 points and bet B was 400, and then how about I pay you 401 points? Will you sell me bet B for 401 points? And points don't have a one-to-one basis to money. Or to dollars.
They did say they would trade them out for money at the end, right?
Right, but they're not converted to dollars. So like this might be on the order of pennies.
Oh,
and
okay. Well,
it's, I'm not sure. There's a transcript from a link that still works. If I'm curious, I'll find how much money they're actually using in there, but not while recording. I mentioned on might have been a Base Blast or something last week or a couple weeks ago, where I did some twin study thing where it was a gambling thing where the odds actually went down over time, but I didn't know that till the end.
Mm-hmm.
But it was the max I could have ever left with was like less than $10, and it was like you're betting a nickel or something each time.
Mm-hmm.
And even as a kid, who was saving up to buy video games, like nickels didn't make a difference. I'm a kid who collected change. I had little coin sorter and everything. But at some point, if you're playing a fake enough game, it's like, all right, yeah, sure. So at the end, I'm going to get a bag of 400 pennies or 402 pennies. If you value your time at all, and you're lugging this bag of pennies to the bank, and so, as someone who lugged bags of change to the bank, I can tell you it's work. And they also ask you to take your sunglasses off if you walk in carrying a bag.
Interesting.
Like the guy stood up as I entered, and he's like, "Can you take your sunglasses off really quick?" Because I came in hoisting a heavy bag.
Yeah.
Anyway, Eliezer at the end of this, he just says, "Do you want to scream? Just give up already. Intuition isn't always right." I think it's because my brain is so smooth that the numbers are rolling right off of it.
Okay.
When we do this with money, I will come back and either be vindicated or be like, well, everybody, Inyash made $20. So I'll be happy to share the results of this.
I am glad he wrote this post because I didn't quite get the transformation in the first post where he rolls the 100-sided die and then allows you to swap back. This second post is where he points out that when he does that, what you're doing is in the original problem 2, there's the 34% chance of winning and 66% chance of losing. And then the second half of it is a 33% chance of winning and a 67% chance of losing. You can break that up into 2 rolls, basically, because both of them have a 66% chance of losing. It's just that the second one has a 66 plus 1% chance of losing. So you can get rid of that 66% chance right at the beginning just by rolling to see if it falls in that first 66 or not. And if it doesn't, you cut that off entirely, and that changes into, rather than 34 and 66 and 33 and 67, it changes into a 100% chance and 0 and a 1% chance and 99, because that's what's left. There's still 1% chance that you could lose in the second one, but there's now a 0% chance that you could lose in the first one. So you're just rolling a second time to see if that last 1% gets triggered or not.
I'm having like an echo of a flashback to when I first read these posts in like the early 2010s. And I haven't had the feeling of like, man, I wish my brain was different. I don't think I've had that feeling since then like this. And I'm remembering that because the thing is, I can follow that, but it's not the least bit intuitive.
Oh, yeah. It's not intuitive at all. That's the whole point. That don't follow intuition sometimes. Follow the math.
I think that maybe my feeling when I was reading these the first time was like, how is this intuitive to this guy? Like, how the hell is he figuring this shit out? And like, all you need is a pen and paper and at this point, basic arithmetic.
Yes.
And it's just like, for me, I'm just like, what sorcery is this?
I think the whole point is that it's not intuitive, which is why the Carney guys make money.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I feel better that at least I'm not necessarily dumber than the baseline human. Carnivals make money. So the example that helped clarify the point for me somehow that the others maybe help me understand why this one helped work for me. If you offer someone a certainty of $400 or an 80% probability of $500 and a 20% probability of $300, they usually take the $400. Is he just making these up, or is this like a thing?
I don't know.
All right. Well, let's pretend it's real. If you ask people to imagine themselves $500 richer and ask if they prefer a certain loss of $100 or a 20% chance of losing $200, they'll usually take the chance of losing $200. It's the same probability distribution over both outcomes, just different descriptions and different choices. That kind of helped me understand the point, except for I guess I don't quite get what it means to imagine yourself $500 richer and then imagine losing money. Like, at any point does money actually change hands for this? I guess here's the thing. If you handed me $500, then I would just leave. This has to be an imagining thing first.
I mean, that's kind of the problem, but if you're working with people who are trustworthy, like your friends at a LessWrong meetup or somebody in a institutional setting where there's a guard nearby, you could give them 5 $100 bills and then say, I'm going to roll a dice. If it rolls anything at all, you have to give me back 100. We can make a bet where if it rolls a 3 through 6, you give me back 200, but if it rolls a 1 or 2, you got to keep all of it. And that way they'd have to either make that choice or give you back $100. They couldn't keep the 500.
Well, it wouldn't be a 3 through 6. It'd be a 1, or it'd be any single side of a 6-sided die for the 20%.
Oh, okay, yeah. Your percentage is closer than mine. I was thinking for some reason thirds again rather than 20%.
All right, so I'll ask you if I came up to you and I was like, "Hey, you want $400? Or roll this 100-sided die. If it comes up higher than 80, I'll give you $300. And if it comes up lower than 80, you get $500. Which one do you take?"
Do I guaranteed 480% chance at 500? Gosh. I don't know. I think I'm kind of indifferent, which I know is kind of dumb. I'd take the 400.
I think so too. It's nice to have $400. The difference here, though, is that this game doesn't cost anything to play. You might as well get on and get $300 at the worst case scenario for a chance at 500. I have this sneaking suspicion that these are all like this sort of contrived circumstances that don't exist IRL. And again, get triggered one box Newcomb problem for life.
Yeah.
I don't know. I will come back with more coherent thoughts on this, whether we do it in the follow-up episode or in a Baze Blast after the meetup. Once money's changed hands, because right now I'm expressing how bad I am at this. I think you're thinking, man, I'm going to make $10. This is going to be great.
Well, or you're going to come in and you're going to be like, I'm willing to take that first bet for $1. And then I'd be like, what? No, I'm not selling you this for $1. I'm going to lose money in expectation no matter what.
Yeah, we'll figure out some way to do this. This will be fun.
What if instead of $400, $500, or $300, it's lives at stake? Maybe you're a person at a hospital who has to make this choice. Like either you can definitely save 400 lives, or there's an 80% chance of saving 500 people, but a 20% chance you'll only save 300. And then all of a sudden, this matters.
I mean, yes, it does matter, and I do like the change away from currency to lives, but I also kind of wonder, how the hell could that possibly happen?
But he also points out that in that case, getting double booked really kind of matters, because even if you only throw the switch twice before you realize what's happening, if each time throwing the switch costs 1 life, you just killed 2 humans for literally no net gain. So that sucks. I think harder first.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, if we zoom out from the content of these posts, like the specifics, to the point that it's making, it's that you want your AI god to actually be good at probability theory and not share your intuitions about mathematics, right?
Yes. And also, as long as you're doing that, maybe don't trust your own intuitions when something matters, because intuitions are wrong, and do the math first.
Get good at math, scrub.
Right? Or at least try to do the math.
There's a subreddit called Fuck You in Particular. It's just like restaurant sign that says everyone's allowed to eat here except for Dave or something. And
awesome.
So in the post, he says, yes, Virginia, you really should try to multiply the utility outcomes by their probability. You really should. Don't be embarrassed to use clean math. And I'm like, who's Virginia? And why'd she get a drive-by here? Like,
nice. I think this was a reference to, yes, Virginia, there really is a Santa Claus.
See, I knew it was a reference to something. I just didn't know that one. That's funny. When you have circular preferences, you're not steering the future. You're just running in circles. If you enjoy running for its own sake, fine. Maybe I'm the dumbass who likes running in circles. But if you have a goal, something you're trying to actually accomplish, a preference reversal reveals a big problem. At least one of the choices you're making must not be working to actually optimize for the future in any coherent sense.
Yeah.
That's a nice way to crystallize that.
Oftentimes we're not optimizing, and that's fine. I spend vast quantities of my life not optimizing for anything in particular. But if you are actually working to optimize something, this matters. Be coherent.
There's a good coherence thing involved here, actually, with charity from a real life example. I had a roommate. We were leaving King Supers way back in the day. And remember, I don't know if they do this anymore. Like the guys outside ringing the bell looking for change for the Salvation Army. And he threw his change in.
Yeah, I think you've mentioned this one before.
It's maybe been long enough that people wouldn't mind the repeat anecdote. I'll be quick. The thing is, my roommate was gay, and the Salvation Army isn't a fan of gay people. These are people who are, burning Harry Potter books and stuff, keeping toys that you donate because they weren't appropriate. And I'm like, you're actually giving money against your own interests here. And he's like, I don't care. It just felt nice to give it. That was like his actual answer, paraphrasing from bad memory. The second last paragraph says here, if what you care about is the warm, fuzzy feeling of certainty, then fine. If someone else's life is at stake, then you'd best realize your intuitions are a greasy lens through which you see the world. Your feelings are not providing you with direct, vertical information about strategic consequences. It feels that way, but they're not. Warm fuzzies can lead you far astray. They led my friend to give money to an organization that's actively working, against his interests.
If it feels this good to give a few cents to Salvation Army, imagine how great it would feel to make gay marriage illegal.
Right. I wish I'd been cleverer at the time. That's the thing, is I do like that, because, if you're just chasing warm fuzzies, if that's all you care about, fine. If you actually care about doing stuff, look at what you're actually doing. This is what he's really advocating for here is effective altruism.
This is true.
I appreciate you indulging me on that, but it was way more fun for me revealing the idiot behind the mask here, if there was ever any mask at all, pretending to the otherwise. What do we have for our next two posts?
We have Allais. Oh, God damn it.
Allais Malaise.
All right. See, the S in Allais is silent, apparently. Is the S in Malaise silent too now? Now I have to question everything I read.
No, but to allay something is to subvert it or something, right?
Yeah, but is it Allais Malais now, or is it Allais Malaise?
I'm going to say Allais Malaise.
All right. I guess it depends on how French we want to be.
You want to, diminish the malaise there. So, all right. And against discount rates.